When 14-year-old Alex got dragged into the police station, the officers laughed at him. "Your mom's special forces," the policeman sneered. "What's she gonna do? Parachute in and save you?" NNBUT. A minute later, their laughter died. Alex's mom walked in, calm, silent, dangerous. And when a prisoner went wild with a weapon, she moved faster than anyone had ever seen. In seconds the fight was over and the whole station was staring in shock. NNTHAT was the moment the officer's smirk disappeared forever. The night had been quiet until a scuffle outside a grocery store led to 14-year-old Alex being dragged in, accused of vandalism by a furious shopkeeper. Lex sat on the hard bench near the front desk, his arms crossed tightly, jaw set in defiance. He wasn't crying, he refused to, but anger swirled inside him like a storm. Across the room, Officer Bradley, a tall man with a square jaw and a permanent smirk, filled out a report at a slow, almost lazy pace. "Why so, kid?" Bradley said, glancing up from the paperwork with a half grin. "You say your mum's coming to pick you up. What is she, a teacher or something?" Nay, Lex hesitated. He wasn't sure he should say it. People always laughed. But tonight, with his pride stinging and his heart pounding, he didn't care. "She's special forces." NTHE room went quiet for a beat. Then Bradley burst into laughter, a deep, mocking sound that echoed off the cinder-block walls. "Limoinch your mum? Special forces. That's a good one," Bradley chuckled, shaking his head. "What, she gonna parachute in here and rescue you? Maybe rappel down from the roof? That'd be a sight." NTHE officer behind the desk snickered. Alex's face burned, but he kept quiet. He just looked down at his scuffed sneakers and waited. Inside, his chest felt tight. His mom never bragged about her past. She never told war stories, never posed in her old uniform. But Alex had seen the scars on her arms. He'd seen her wake up from nightmares in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat. He knew she was telling the truth about who she had been, even if no one else believed it. Minutes dragged by until the glass door of the station finally swung open. A gust of cold night air swept in with the tall woman who stepped inside. She wasn't in a uniform, just dark jeans, a leather jacket and boots, but the way she moved made the entire station shift its attention. Her posture was perfect, her gaze scanning the room in a single sharp sweep. There was nothing nervous about her presence. "Alex," she said, her voice calm but firm. Alex leapt to his feet, relief washing over him. Mom. Bradley leaned back in his chair, sizing her up with an amused smirk. "So you're the kid's mother," he said. "You know, he told us you were special forces." "That true?" Nen SHE didn't answer immediately. Instead, she stepped forward until she stood at the counter, her hands resting lightly on its edge. "Is my son under arrest?" she asked evenly. "Not exactly. Some trouble at the grocery store. Thought we'd keep him here until a parent showed up." "Nay. I see." She turned to Alex. "Explain." Alex mumbled. "I didn't do it. Some other kids were throwing bottles behind the store. I told them to stop. The owner thought it was me." NSHE nodded once, then faced Bradley again. "I'll take him home now." Bradley smirked, clearly amused. "Sure thing, Mom. Just one more question. Are you really special forces, or is your kid just telling tall tales?" NHER eyes narrowed slightly, though her face stayed calm. "Why does it matter?" Bradley shrugged, leaning back lazily. "Because if it's true, I'd like to see what that looks like. I mean, no offense, but you don't exactly scream elite soldier." Before she could reply, a shout rang out from the back of the station. "Officer, we got a problem back here." Everyone turned toward the sound. Another officer came stumbling into the hallway, his face pale and sweaty. "Name, the guy we brought in earlier. He's freaking out. He's got something sharp." Bradley swore and grabbed his baton. The woman's head snapped toward the noise, her entire body shifting like a switch had been flipped. Without a word, she moved, fast, efficient, and without hesitation. She was through the door and down the hallway before Bradley could react. Lex stood frozen for a heartbeat, then bolted after her, adrenaline hammering in his chest. NNTHE holding area was chaos. The suspect, a large man with wild bloodshot eyes, had broken a piece of metal from the bench and was waving it like a jagged blade. One officer was pinned against the bars, trying to push him back with a baton, while another officer shouted desperately into the radio for backup. NNTHE woman didn't pause. She stepped inside the room, her voice cutting through the noise like a blade. "Drop it." My THE man turned, his expression twisted. "Stay back," he shouted, brandishing the metal shard. Nen SHE didn't stay back. Nen IN, 3 swift, terrifyingly precise movements. She closed the distance, knocked the weapon from his hand with a strike to the wrist, and swept his legs out from under him. The man hit the ground with a thud, gasping for air. Before he could recover, she pinned him with a knee to his back and grabbed his arms. From her jacket pocket, she produced a zip tie. She had come prepared, and bound his wrists behind him with smooth, practiced efficiency. NNTHE room fell silent. Even the officer who had been shouting into the radio stopped, staring. And Bradley finally arrived, breathing hard, his smirk gone. His mouth hung slightly open. "Nosohu inste, what the hell?" he murmured. NSHE stood up, perfectly calm, and handed the restrained suspect over to the nearest officer. "Nosohu inste, control your prisoner," she said simply. "Mosohu inste, mosohu inste, mosohu inste, nosohu inste." His face had completely changed. "Nosohu inste, nosohu instrals ules, nosohu instrals ule." For a moment, he simply stared at the woman, as if seeing her for the first time. His baton hung uselessly at his side. "Nosohu inspiti," he began, then stopped, almost embarrassed by his own words. "Special Forces." NSHE didn't answer right away. Instead, she brushed imaginary dust from her jacket sleeve, as if neutralizing a violent suspect was just another chore to check off her list. "I was," she said finally, her tone quiet but carrying enough weight to silence the entire room. Bradley nodded slowly. There was no trace of laughter now, only a new respect creeping into his expression. INTHE woman turned toward her son. Alex was standing just outside the holding cell door, his face a mixture of fear, awe, and something else. Pride, fierce and uncontainable. "Let's go," she said gently. Lex nodded, his sneakers squeaking softly against the floor as he followed her out of the cell block. The station seemed quieter than before, as if the building itself was still processing what had just happened. Officers watched them pass, their expressions wary and thoughtful. When they reached the front desk, Bradley followed, still visibly shaken. "Nem," he said, his voice carrying a very different tone now. "I misjudged you. Guess your kid wasn't lying after all." NSHE stopped and turned her head slightly, her sharp eyes meeting his. "No," she said simply. "He wasn't." Bradley hesitated, scratching the back of his neck. "You probably saved one of my guys back there. I appreciate it." In NFOR, the first time since she'd entered the station, her expression softened just a little. "Do better," she said, not unkindly. "You have people counting on you." Bradley nodded once, seriously. Alex's heart was pounding as they stepped out into the night air. The station door closed behind them with a heavy thud. For a moment, neither spoke. The moon hung low in the sky, silver light reflecting off the hood of their dusty SUV. Finally, Alex broke the silence. "They laughed at me," he said quietly. "When I told them you were Special Forces." NNSHE unlocked the car and opened the passenger door for him. "People laugh at things they don't understand," she said. "Men, but they won't now," Alex said, climbing into the seat. "They saw what you can do." Nanseichi walked around to the driver's side and slid behind the wheel. "It doesn't matter what they saw," she said after a pause. "What matters is that no one got hurt tonight." All 2 Alex stared out the window as they pulled away from the station. "You were so fast," he said softly, almost to himself. "Like, faster than a movie fight scene." NTHAT earned him a small smile. "Movies make it look glamorous," she said. "In real life, it's just training, muscle memory, and staying calm when everyone else is panicking." NHE glanced at her, studying her profile as the streetlights painted stripes of gold across her face. "Were you scared?" he asked. NNSHE didn't answer right away. "Fear is normal," she said finally. "You just can't let it decide what you do next." Lex thought about that for a long moment. "I wish I could do that," he admitted. "You can," she said simply. It takes practice. Not everyone needs to fight. But everyone needs to know how to stay calm when it counts. NTHE SUV rolled through the sleeping town, past shuttered stores and dark houses. Alex watched as familiar streets passed by. But everything felt a little different now, like the world had shifted slightly on its axis. When they reached home, she parked the car and turned off the engine. For a moment they sat in silence, the night air humming softly around them. "I got scared when they dragged me in," Alex said finally. "I kept thinking about what you'd say, what you'd do if you were here." Reached over and rested a hand on his shoulder, her grip warm and grounding. "And what did you decide?" "I decided you'd tell me to stay calm," he said with a small smile. "So I did." Mostly, NSHE gave a quiet chuckle, rare, but genuine. "Good." As they stepped out of the car and headed inside, Alex felt lighter somehow, as though the events of the night had unlocked something inside him. His mother wasn't just the quiet, watchful parent who packed his lunches and reminded him to finish his homework. She was something else entirely, someone strong, capable, and just a little bit terrifying to the people who underestimated her. Inside the station, far behind them now, Officer Bradley sat at his desk staring at the half-finished report. The image of the woman taking down the suspect replayed in his mind over and over. For the first time in years, he felt humbled. Firake glanced at the bench where Alex had been sitting earlier, the memory of the boy's defiant little smile surfacing. "Mefati Special Forces," he muttered to himself, shaking his head. Guess the kid wasn't kidding. Then, almost involuntarily, a small smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. Outside, under the calm night sky, Alex walked beside his mum toward the front porch. The world felt bigger, sharper, more real. He wasn't sure what tomorrow would bring, but he knew one thing for certain: no one would ever laugh at him for telling the truth about his mother again. And even if they did, it wouldn't matter, 'cause now he had seen for himself just how extraordinary she really was.